now at the 2-week mark, so I'm going to give my opinion just at least for the first 2 weeks. That's a big important spot on the timeline because most people say that the first 2 weeks are the hardest. So I'm going to go through everything that I think versus what I expected in raising these quails for the first 2 weeks. So this is week 2. Going to give an update. Our quail are about 2 weeks old. They have been moved into this brooder now, what I like to call the older chick brooder. It's open on all 4 sides, so they can see out on all 4 sides. Has a lot less ability to retain heat because of that, which is why I put the older ones in here. But they do still have a heat lamp because at this age they still need a little bit of heat. Well, they say that the first 2 weeks are notoriously difficult to keep them alive, a lot more difficult than chickens, but I have not found that at all to be the case. That has to be one of 2 things. It has to be either all of our extra TLC and supplements and things has paid off, or the research that I did on exactly how to care for quail and what their needs are versus what chickens' needs are. They are slightly different, so you do need to make sure that you meet their needs. If there's a chicken in with the quail, like we have, you have to make sure that both of their needs are met, although I will say that chickens are much more diverse and versatile when it comes to things, and quail need a little bit more specific needs. But because I read all that in advance, I think I saved myself from making some very, very common mistakes. Too deep of a water dish, or not warm enough, or just or too hot, or just things that may be slightly different in quail. Handling them too aggressively when you're taking them out of the incubator, that sort of thing. We had 20 that hatched out, and we had only 3 that died. The 3 that died, every single one of those 3 had something really wrong with it at birth, and was not a strong chick to start out with. 2 were just born weak, wasn't sure what happened. So the smaller of these 2 black and white ones, and it's really hard to tell apart because he's almost caught up to everybody, even though he's almost 3 days younger. That's the one right there that was breached, fighting like a soldier to get out, but couldn't because it was breached. It would have hatched out normally had it not been stuck. And of course now you see 2 weeks later, totally normal chick, acting normal, feeling normal. We have really no concerns for this one now. We give him or her, the same outlook as we do the rest of these quail. Our chicken chick, the black fuzzy thing in the middle of all those other quail, she's doing great still. If you didn't look at the other videos, basically you put her in with the quail because she was all alone. I really enjoy a brooder like this because, setup like this rather, because you're literally on the same level as them. And when that happens, you don't have to come in from so high, from above. They can see out the side. They're a lot less likely to be scared when you're not trying to pick them up from such a tall angle. So it's a very easy setup to sort of socialize them a little bit, get them used to people, and domesticate them a little bit. They're just a lot less skittish for some reason when the brooder is sort of down at their level, and they can see before you ever even get close to them. They can see sort of what your intention is, whereas they're kind of blinded over here. And in this, you can see just how tall this is. I'll back up. It's pretty tall. It's almost 3 feet tall. Maybe 2.5 feet, I don't know. And though this is just as tall, you have a little window here that you can look through. So, coming at them, little tiny things, giant hand coming from really tall. I'm sure that's for a prey animal, that's scary, just instinctively. So, it's been great to kind of socialize with them this way, now that they're old enough to be in this brooder. This is actually nothing fancy either. It's just a repurposed rabbit cage. So, brooders can be made out of all sorts of things. So, we had a medicated feed that we were giving, and with protein supplements at first when they were really young. I thought, that's the best thing for, especially we have that little chicken cold that runs around. People say that quail can catch a lot of colds from other species, then it's a little cold to other species, but it's deadly to them. So I thought, if their immune system is already compromised, we should probably feed them medicated starter, but the starter was just a regular chicken starter, so I had to supplement protein supplements in with the starter. I'm not sure if that is just as good I'm not sure if what I have in right now is just as good as that, or if it's a little too broad. Medicated feed targets things that specifically they're most prone to. Right now I have switched to an all-natural game bird starter with diatomaceous earth as the medication instead of an actual, antibiotic or antiparasitic medicine. This is the diatomaceous earth is natural, but it's, like I said, it's a more broad scale thing. You don't know for sure if it's going to take care of every little problem that you have. And just because it has the right amount of protein, to test it with the second batch of quail, just to do this from the very beginning with the second batch of quail and see if the diatomaceous earth is enough. That would be much, much easier than having to put a protein supplement in there. So that's what I may end up doing eventually. Despite being handled the exact same way, I have noticed that quail are a little more trusting than chickens. The quail really don't mind my hand at all. They'll walk right past it. Maybe if I go try and pet them, since they're kind of still new to this, they'll maybe flinch a little bit. I've had them walk totally on top of my hand before and not care. They seem to just naturally, that one just walked right past. They seem to naturally just not really mind that much, even when I start moving my hand. However, same exact, being raised the same way, and chicken, and you see I can't even get my hand close, and she's all the way over there, and that was like 6 inches away. So with her, I have to do a little extra things. I have to actually pick her up more and pet her more so that she realizes, oh, okay, that's what that is. So she'll get better at that. Again, I'm not socializing them day in and day out. I'm just doing enough to get them used to people. And she's actually a little younger than the quail, a little over half a week younger. So she's, had slightly less time, plus is a lot more prone to not trusting, so she'll get there. Kind of hard to do the video at the same time. So I've got her very loosely, and she's calmed down, and now I'm just going to let her go. She screamed a little bit when I put my hand around her, but then she's like, okay, well that's odd, nothing's happening. So she just sat there. But then when I let her go, of course, she decided, okay, enough's enough, I'm going to the corner furthest away from you. Typical chicken behavior. Again, just depends on how much you handle them. So I found that with chickens, just putting your hand in the cage and not really doing much, that can help. but really for some reason, once you actually pick them up and handle them, they seem to like understand a little more what your intention is. With quail, they investigate a lot quicker. They come up to you and actually investigate, whereas chickens usually just ignore. Save for, 1 to 3 day old chickens, if they're really, really young, and they still have that sort of just baby instinct where they just trust anything and everything. But for older ones like this, I highly doubt that Miss Chicken over there, haven't named her yet. Not right now. That's her nickname for today. She won't care at all to investigate, but many different quail have looked at my hand in the last, 30 seconds. So that's just kind of the different personalities. Doesn't mean at all that you can't domesticate them. I just don't take that much time to, because I want them to have that flight instinct for predators in the free-range environment. So yeah, I would love to handle them every day, all the time, but it would be, like I said before, it'd be too dangerous to give them too much domesticating, handling and things. So our second batch of quail have started to hatch out. We're gonna probably have one more batch sometime this spring or summer that we hatch out, and probably won't hatch out anymore unless some get taken by predators or something. Again, these guys won't be introduced or integrated in with the other quail until both of them are old enough to go out into our free range environment.